الحمد لله رب العالمين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
سلام الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. ومن لم يجعل الله له نورا فما له من نور. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. أكرمنا بخير كتاب أنزل وخصنا بخير نبي أرسل وجعلنا بالإسلام خير أمة أخرجت للناس. نأمر بالمعروف وننهى عن المنكر ونؤمن بالله. وأشهد أن سيدنا وإمامنا وأسوتنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح للأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده وتركنا على محجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على هذا النبي الكريم ذي الخلق العظيم وعلى آله وصحبه الذين آمنوا به وعزروه ونصروه واتبعوا النور الذي أنزل معه. أولئك هم المفلحون. ورضي الله عمن دعا بدعوته واهتدى بسنته وجاهد جهاده إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. We begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful. We thank Allah Azza wa Jal for allowing us to gather here on this blessed day of Jumu'ah to fulfill this great obligation towards Him. We beseech Him tabaraka wa ta'ala to send His peace, mercy and blessings upon the last and final messenger sent to humanity, the seal of the prophets, the mercy to the worlds, Al-Habib al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, his companions, and all of those who follow him until the end of time. One of our scholars here in New York shared this very beautiful story, which I wish to relate to you all. One morning, Friday morning, there was an imam. he was in his room gathering his materials so that he can put together a topic, a speech for his khutbah that he will deliver in the masjid. So his wife had left the house, leaving behind their young son. So the young boy kept coming and disturbing the father. You know, many of you can relate if you have young children. If you're in the middle of work or something important and your little daughter or son comes in the way, it can be quite distracting. So this young boy kept distracting his father. So his father was looking through a magazine at that time, and then he noticed a picture of a map. A picture of the world, the map of the world. So he thinks, you know, let me tear this into 100 pieces, I'll give it to my boy, and I'll tell him, hey, put this together. And that's what he does. He tears the page, and he rips this, you know, page that has the map of the world into almost 100 pieces and says, here you go, my son. You know how to put together puzzles. Why don't you figure this puzzle out? So he thinks, you know, my son is engaged productively and I can focus on my khutbah. What do you know? Within 5 minutes, this young boy puts together the whole entire world. So the father thinks, subhanAllah, I thought it was going to take him a good couple of hours or maybe half a day or something. Looks like, you know, he put it together in such a short amount of time. So he asked him, my son, how did you do this? I mean, it's not easy. It's such a difficult task. How did you put together the map in such a short time? So he said, Dad, look on the other side. So he looked on the other side. He said, it's a picture of a man. So I put the head together, I put the body together, put the hands and the arms, the legs together, and voila, I put the world together. So the Imam Sahib, the Shaykh, he said, subhanAllah, my son, I love you. You gave me such an awesome topic to talk to in the congregation, in the masjid. If man comes together, the world comes together. If human beings are correct, then the whole entire world will be correct. If we look at the world today, we find that our, you know, fellow human beings, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, across the globe, human beings are not correct. We are going through a crisis. There's bloodshed, there's mayhem, there's injustice, there's dhulm, oppression, poverty, all sorts of calamities humanity is facing. And we all have to look at the individual first and foremost. Because if the individual is correct, then the family will be correct. If the family is correct, then the society will be correct, and by extension, the whole entire world. Now, this concept of change, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very beautifully illustrates the concept of change in a very succinct, very small, yet very powerful ayah in the Quran in Surah Al-Ra'd. And many of us are familiar with this ayah. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That surely, indeed, no doubt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, does not change the condition of the people until they change what is in themselves. So don't expect the world to be a better place if you have a gazillion issues within yourselves. I can't even fix my own family and I expect to change my society. This is why in English there's a very powerful phrase that goes, I wish to be the change that I want to see in others. I wish to be the change that I want to see in others. So my brothers and sisters, change comes from the self first, and then the family level, and then the society level, and then of course the world. Now, Ramadan is around the corner, and Ramadan is synonymous with change. I don't want to talk too much about Ramadan, because you will be listening to khutbahs and lectures about Ramadan. But what I do want to highlight here is a few stories from the past and the current era on how human beings have changed for the better, so that we can get a sense of inspiration and motivation bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And towards the end I'll share some practical tips that we can all benefit from bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, long ago there lived a pious man. His name was Malik ibn Dinar, rahimahullah. Some of us are perhaps familiar with his story. Malik was not always a very pious person. Rather, he was a very, gangster, thug-like individual who people in society really shunned. They didn't really go near him. They didn't want to associate with him because he was such an ill-charactered such an evil person. This is how he perceived, people perceived him. Malik, he had some addictions. One of them was alcoholism. He was an alcoholic. He was a drunkard. So one day he had a little daughter. His daughter passed away. So to numb the pain, to cope with this loss, guess what he does? He begins to drink even more, to the point the whole night he drank and he fell asleep drunk. And in his dream that night, he saw that he was in the Day of Judgment. And then a huge snake was chasing him. And he was running after, to save himself, away from the snake. But this huge snake was coming right behind him, ready to swallow him and devour him and destroy him. And then suddenly he sees an old man. And he goes to the old man for some help, and he says, "Please sir, can you help me?" So the old man points toward a certain direction. So Malik runs towards that direction. And then suddenly he, ends up in a cliff. He's about to fall, and beneath that cliff, there's the fire of hell, Jahannam. And behind him is the snake. So he runs back to the old man because there's no one else there. So he goes to him, "Sir, please help me. There's no one here to help me. You showed me the direction to go this way. I went there, but then I found that, it's, a cliff, and then underneath that it's Jahannam. Please help me." He says, "I'm sorry, I really can't help you. Go this way." So he points the other way. He runs, and then the snake is almost about to, swallow him up. And then his little daughter comes in the way to rescue him. The daughter that passed away, she came in between him and the snake left. So now she begins to talk to her father. He holds her hand, kind of like how they would in this world, and they, have a conversation. So the daughter asks her father, "Dad, do you know what that snake represents?" He says, "No, I don't." She said that snake represents all of your bad deeds, all of the bad things you did in this world. It turned into this ugly, horrifying snake that is about to destroy you. "Dad, do you know who that old man represents?" "No, I don't." "That old man represents your good deeds. You did so little in this world. You had very little hasanat, righteous deeds, to the point where really this, old man can't save you or help you. That's how little your good deeds were in this world. And then I am here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me to protect you from your bad deeds from that snake." So this loss that he went through was actually a blessing, right? Some of us, we have different kinds of losses, whether it's at your job or your family. Human beings go through different kinds of calamities and tribulations, but we have to understand that not all of those are meant to cause us any difficulty or hardship. Perhaps they are a blessing in disguise. We just don't realize it right now. Maybe we might never realize it in this world, and we will realize it in the akhirah. So then the daughter says, "Dad," and she recites a verse from Surah Al-Hadid. أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. Isn't it time for those who have iman, who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after they have been reminded of Allah Azza wa Jal, isn't it time for them to get their act together? Isn't it time for them to really, shape up and become serious? This is a reminder that the daughter is telling the father, and then he wakes up. This was all a dream. He wakes up right on time for Fajr, he makes wudu, and he goes to the masjid. And what do you know? The Imam is reciting from this very ayah. And then after the salah, he says, "Ya Allah, yes, al-an, Ya Rabb. Now, oh my Allah, I make tawbah to you. I have changed, I have become better." Now we know Malik ibn Dinar, rahimahullah, is one of the greatest people of Islamic history. But we have to understand that he wasn't always someone so amazing and great. He went through a process of change, right? He went through an experience where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moved him from, a path that was away from Allah Azza wa Jal to the straight path. Now this is a huge lesson for all of us, that don't wait for a calamity to happen for you to get your act together, but rather let us take let us take advantage of the time and opportunities that we have now. Don't wait for Ramadan to come. Maybe you might not live until Ramadan. We don't know, even if it's 2 weeks and some days away. We don't know. Just a couple of weeks ago in Texas, a young Muslimah, young Muslim female, mashallah, graduated from college, right? Some of you saw this on social media. 21, 22-year-old, right? Her whole life ahead, mashallah. Brilliant student. Graduated, took pictures. Very joyful occasion for the family. That evening, she had a headache. She went to sleep. The next morning, she woke up in a coma. She was taken to the ICU. And then a day or two later, she passed away. May Allah have mercy on her. 22 years old, young Muslimah. I mean, did she know that she was going to leave this world that soon? I mean, she just graduated that day. SubhanAllah. And we think we're going to live until, retirement age. We got our whole 401k plan, retirement plan set up, right? Insurance and this and that. Well, we got to think twice, brothers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us in this world for a limited amount of time, and we have to strive and struggle to do our best to change for the better. No one here is perfect, right? None of us are sinless. None of us are sinless, but surely we can sin less, as somebody said. None of us are sinless, but surely we can sin less. So Ramadan is a time for us to charge up and change for the better, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant myself and all of us the ability to change for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Now this was an example from the past. Let me share with you an example from the contemporary era. Dr. Aid al-Qarni, a great scholar from Saudi Arabia, he wrote this story. He shared this story in one of his writings. It was about a man who was in the military, a Muslim young man who really never associated himself with religion. Did not pray, didn't know how to recite Quran. Not only that, but he actually despised religion. He actually disliked people of religion. He didn't want to deal with religion altogether, right? So he never prayed. He never read Quran. He would dislike whenever shuyukh and imams would give lectures. So it just so happened that one day he was working in a neighborhood where a guest scholar came. And he was patrolling the area, and it was Salat al-Asr time. So the imam, after Salat al-Asr, he begins to give his lecture. And this young man, this part of the army, he's there patrolling the area. He happens to hear the lecture of the sheikh. And the sheikh was talking about Jahannam and Jannah. He was talking about the descriptions of paradise and hell. And it really hit him. Like no other lecture moved him in his life. And this one really did the job. It penetrated his heart, and he began to cry. And he went to the masjid. And he was crying in the masjid, and the people saw. And the sheikh also noticed. And afterwards, the sheikh went to him and asked him what happened. He said his whole life story to the sheikh. And the sheikh also cried and gave him advice. This man, who hated religion before, who never prayed a single prayer in his life, subhanAllah, look at how he changed for the better, how this U-turn came in his life. He made such a tawbah, subhanAllah. He prayed all of his salah in the masjid. He would fast so regularly. He memorized the whole entire Quran in 4 months, this young man. He would sleep only 2 hours a day. Look at this change, right? We're talking about. Now this is not stuff that we read about in books of people of the past. This is in our modern, contemporary period we're talking about, right? So let us try to take inspiration from these people. Now I'm not telling you to sleep 2 hours and memorize the Quran in 4 months, but I'm saying that we can push ourselves a little more so that we can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can encourage our family members and our community members, inshallah, to move forward and to work harder, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to strengthen our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He grant us all the tawfiq. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. A few months ago in my neighborhood where I live in the Bronx, I entered the masjid, and an elderly grandfather figure happened to be in the masjid, and I didn't see him for some time. And after noticing that he was there, I realized that he went through a surgery. He had an operation. So I asked him about his health. He had an operation on his eye. He said, "Alhamdulillah, I'm fine." So after Salah, after we prayed Salat al-Isha, I turned around and, me and my silly questions sometimes, I asked him, هل تستخدم العصا? Do you use a cane to walk? Do you use a stick to walk? So he said, لا, no, أنا أستخدم السنة. I use the sunnah. So I was perplexed, I was confused. الآن لا أفهم, ممكن اشرح لي لو سمحت? He was an Arab man. And I said, I don't understand, can you please explain what you mean by that? He said, صوموا تصحوا. Fast and you shall remain. Right? Fast and you shall live on. I was like, still, can you please explain? I'm still confused. So he's like, listen, my young son. For the last 26 years, I have been fasting for every Mondays and Thursdays, and I did not miss a single day in my life for the last 26 years. His age is 80. He's 80 years old. 80 years old, he has been fasting every Monday and Thursday for the last 26 years. So I said, SubhanAllah, I'm 26 years old. You have been fasting for as long as I've been in this world. I'm young, healthy, and strong, but I'm filled with excuses and excuses. When was the last time I fasted? Last Ramadan? When is the next time we want to fast? Next Ramadan? This old man is like a proof against me. If he could do it, then why can't I do it? Now, I'm not saying again for us to fast every Mondays and Thursdays. It's not practical for a lot of people for many reasons. But I mean, we can at least do one day in the month of Sha'ban, right? Or the 3 white days of every month. Starting small, right? Change doesn't mean you just go and change, 180. But it starts with small changes and then eventually becomes a habit. So I learned from him that this wasn't an overnight thing. This is something he built over a period of time, which, mashallah, he kept consistent for 26, and till this day he is fasting every Monday and Thursday. And then he gets up, and then he stomps on the floor. And he's wearing jeans and a nice shirt, and I'm like, SubhanAllah. It would be a blessing and fortune if I could live until his age, or until even 60, with Iman and Ihsan, alhamdulillah. So it's a huge blessing, my brothers and my sisters, for us to benefit from these great role models and inspirations around us, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really puts in front of us sometimes. Every instant, every experience that we go through, we should try to get benefit and lesson from. Now, as we come to the conclusion of the khutbah, some practical things that we can benefit from bi'idhnillah ta'ala. As Ramadan is approaching us very quickly, we should try to create a plan where we spend time with us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The night prayers, the tahajjud prayers. The second thing, very, very important, is to strengthen our relationship with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran. The month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. When was the last time we touched the Mus'haf? When was the last time we actually sincerely, quality time with the Quran? When was the last time we spent quality time with the Quran? Now, if you don't know how to read, or if you have difficulty pronouncing the words, or if you don't know tajweed properly, it's okay. Start somewhere, right? The intention is to take the first step, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for you. Try to find a teacher in your neighborhood if you can. Go to the local masjid and ask the imam. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Even if you have to sit with the children on the weekends, go ahead and do it. No problem. There's no shame in that, right? If you are fluent in reciting, try your best to maybe memorize a little bit more of the Quran so that you can enjoy your salah. How long are you going to pray? 10 and the last 12 surahs of the Quran. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, qul huwallahu ahad. These are very powerful surahs, but come on, man. Try to learn some more surahs and some more ayat so that you can enjoy your salah, so that you can feel the tranquility in your prayer. Those of you that have memorized the Quran, or those of you that have memorized a significant amount, encourage myself and all of us here to try to read the definition, the meaning, the tafsir, the commentary of the Quran. Try to get a deeper understanding of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you. Number 3, very, very important, which is spending quality time with our family. Now, for the most of Ramadan, our kids are going to be off from school. And the greatest thing that we can do for our kids is to spend quality time with them. Right? Quality time doesn't mean you just take them to the masjid with you and pray tarawih and then go back home. No. You gotta find time to, sit with them one-on-one or, with your children together and be a father or be a mother. Be a father, spend time. Everybody is just glued to their screens nowadays that they don't have time for each other. Spend time with your wife. Spend time with your husband, sisters. It's very, very crucial. There's a crisis, there's a dilemma. There's a sort of there's a huge issue in America right now in the family. Human beings, like Muslims are, the family system is dissolving. The divorce rate is going so high in America among Muslim families, and it's very important that we be mindful to keep our relationships intact. Don't be like this couple that were in the hotel one day, and then the man, he calls the front desk downstairs and he says, "Sir, I just had a little argument with my wife. She wants to jump out the window." So he's like, "Sorry, sir. I think this is a private matter. We don't deal with we only deal with management and maintenance issues." So he's like, "No. This has to do with maintenance." "How does it have to do with maintenance?" "Well, she's trying to jump out the window, but the window doesn't open." Right? The window's not opening. Like, he wants him to go upstairs to open the window so that she can jump out. Right? Like, don't be like these people. And this is, unfortunately, it's funny, but it's a sad reality which many Muslim families are going through. Husbands are outside chilling, coming home really late, not spending time. I mean, we're all guilty of this in one way or another, right? So, spending quality time with the family, right? Waking your children, your family up for tahajjud every now and then throughout the month of Ramadan. Having suhoor together, breaking your fast together, teaching your children the concept of sadaqah, right? Encouraging them to volunteer their time in the masjid. You volunteering yourself in the masjid, helping out your community in whatever way you can, right? You don't necessarily have to give a khutbah to serve Islam. You don't have to be a shaykh or a maulana or anything like that to, serve Islam. Everybody here can contribute in some way. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us. So salah, our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our relationship with the Quran, our relationship with our family members, our relationship with our community. Another thing, Ramadan is a great opportunity for us to give da'wah to our co-workers and our colleagues and our classmates and maybe your passengers or your clients, right, or your patients. Whatever, chance you get, it's a great opportunity for us to give da'wah and introduce this beautiful message of Islam to our fellow Americans. We're living in a time where Islamophobia is on the rise, right? We don't need to say much. You see what's going on, the negative mentality that Americans have towards Muslims. We have a huge responsibility in the current day and age that we're living in to present Islam to the best of our ability. Number one, first and foremost, through our character, through our akhlaq, through our behavior and etiquette. So remember, my brothers and sisters, let us take, inshallah, every opportunity to change for the better, and we will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us sa'adah, give us happiness and tranquility and peace of mind in this world and in the next. Those of you who are fathers, again, because I'm a teacher, because I myself work with youth all the time, try your best to take your children to a masjid where the khutbah is meaningful, is effective, is powerful, right? I know a lot of us in New York City, because we're so diverse in one way. We have about 1 million Muslims here. We have over 200 masajid across New York City. But again, with all of this diversity, we are still so isolated, right? We are such an ethnic, immigrant-based, sort of isolated. Manhattan Masjid is not the norm, right? You guys are just here because most of you are working around here, but everybody here, are from different neighborhoods, different communities, right? So your community masjids, if you are involved or if you have, a good relationship with the board or with the committee in your masjid, I suggest that you talk to them about making the next, 2-3 months khutbah in English and make it meaningful and effective. Why? Because our children, subhanAllah, 99% of Muslims, they send their kids to public schools, right? 13, 14 years, these kids go to a public school. Only in the summer and a couple of holidays throughout the year, they get to experience the Jumu'ah khutbah, right? Jumu'ah. So if you add up all of the Jumu'ahs that they prayed in their whole entire lives, I don't think it'll come to like 200, probably less than 200. Now just imagine, this young man or woman who graduated from high school, who will go to college, who hardly ever prayed Jumu'ah in his or her life, and that too, the Jumu'ahs that they did go to, they were hardly able to take anything away from it. Do you think this person will value Jumu'ah? Do you think this person will, appreciate the virtue of Friday and Jumu'ah? Absolutely not, right? Very rare do kids graduate from high school and then they have this sort of zeal that they want to pray Jumu'ah, they want to carry this on and perhaps even teach their children later on when they are parents, right? So it's very important for us to use the next few Jumu'ahs that we have in the summer vacation for our children, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, so that again this concept of change can come and be instilled in their hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the ability. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our hearts. May He increase us in our iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our parents. Allahumma hdina wa hdi bina waj'alna sababan liman ihtada. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. Allahumma ansur al-islam wal muslimin. Allahumma alif bayna qulubi al-mu'minin. Allahumma barik lana fi sha'ban wa ballighna ramadan. Allahumma atina fi dunya hasana wa fi al-akhirati حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.